Just see. After completing section 32, where we have studied already the research through outside agencies, today we'll start with this topic. The topic is in-house research and development incurred by certain companies. Now the companies are certain that what type of companies it can be, and there are certain rules that if in-house research and development expenses are incurred by these companies, then what to do. Now, what are the companies? This is applicable to only those companies which are involved in biotechnological or manufacturing or producing any article or thing other than those specified in Schedule 11. There is a schedule in Income Tax Act. We have different schedules, Schedule 10, Schedule 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, so on. So accordingly, if an item is not contained in Schedule 11 or it is related to biotechnology, then the company, if they incur any expenditure towards research and development in their own premises, then the same can be deducted. Now, what are the conditions that needs to satisfy? First, the expenditure must be incurred in-house. Okay, including capital expenditure.
सर
Yeah.
सर
हाँ,
सर एक्चुअली प्रत्युषा इसमें ऐड नहीं है
प्रत्युषा
प्रत्युषा
ऐड नहीं है.
यस सर टीम्स में सर आपके में ये ग्रुप में ऐड नहीं है
Just a minute. Okay, now let's continue. Conditions to be satisfied. What are the conditions that needs to satisfy? The first was expenditure must be incurred in-house. It can include capital expenditures other than expenditures in the nature of cost of any land or building. That means आप सारे capital expenditures को ले सकते हो, सिर्फ cost of land और cost of building को include नहीं करते in this part. ठीक. The second is that expenditures must be incurred on or before 31st March 2017. And finally, the in-house research and development facility should have been approved by the secretary. Which department? Department of Scientific and Industrial Research. Last, the SSC must enter into an agreement with a prescribed authority. Now, what are the prescribed authority? For cooperatives, yeah, for cooperation in such research and development facilities and to fulfill such conditions with regard to maintenance of accounts. So you should be in an agreement with a prescribed authority so that you can maintain your accounts, you can furnish all the reports and everything. If you do so, then a weighted deduction of 150% was available, but with effect from assessment year 2021-22, that means after March this year, this deduction will reduce to 100% only. That means for the previous year 2019-20 or for the previous year 2020-21, there is a difference. If we are talking about previous year 2019-20, so the corresponding assessment year is 2021. So for that year, 150% is available. How much? 150. But if we ask for the current previous year, that means the year which is right now running, after March we'll be assessing income for the same. So if we talk about this year 2020-21, which I think the entire year we survived against Corona. So if we talk about this year, the corresponding assessment year is 21-22. For that, the percentage drops to 100%. Okay. Now, the next topic is sale of assets used for scientific research. Now try to understand that why this topic. Suppose I bought an asset for scientific research. You know that as per section 35, I can claim deduction of the capital expenditure if the asset was relating to research. That means either in-house research or out-house research. So suppose what happened, I was supposed to do an in-house research और मैंने एक asset खरीदा. Asset का जो भी खर्चा लगा वो हमने totally deduct कर लिया as an exemption. Okay. और we could have deducted 150% क्योंकि कुछ केसेस में हमने देखा है कि 150% तक का डिडक्शन मिल रहा है. तो हमने क्या किया, हमने अलाउएबल एक्सपेंसेस में ज्यादा एक्सपेंस माइनस कर लिया या इक्वल अमाउंट ही माइनस किया. कम माइनस नहीं होगा हमेशा, आइदर 100% और मोर देन 100% था. तो अल्टीमेटली तो कुछ ऐसा हुआ ना कि मैंने 100 रुपीज की चीज खरीदी, गवर्नमेंट ने मुझे 100 रुपीज एक्सपेंस बोल के राइट करने दिया. नाउ गवर्नमेंट इज कंसिडरिंग कि वो 100 रुपीज गवर्नमेंट का एक्सपेंडिचर है एंड यू आर गेटिंग द बेनिफिट. नाउ लेटर ऑन सपोज आपने वो एसेट बेचा, तो क्या करेंगे? अब मैं लॉजिकली आपसे एक चीज पूछता हूं. सपोज रौनक, I gave you 1000 rupees to buy some item for me. On the way, when you were returning to my location, आपने अपने लिए सपोज कोल्ड ड्रिंक्स एंड चिप्स खरीद लिए. आपके पास अपने पैसे थे, बट यू फॉरगॉट योर वॉलेट एट माई प्लेस. तो आपने सोचा कि ठीक है कोई बात नहीं, सर के पैसों में से ले लेता हूँ, घर जाऊंगा तो अपने वॉलेट से निकाल के लौटा दूंगा. आप मेरे पास आए, मेरे सामान मुझे आपने लौटाए, एंड देन यू सेड सर आई बॉट दिस आइटम, आई विल बी पेइंग यू राइट नाउ, मेरा वॉलेट अंदर ही रह गया. देन आई सेड ओके ओके नो नीड टू गिव, कीप इट. ठीक है, ये मेरे तरफ से. सपोज आई एम नॉट गिविंग एक्चुअली, ठीक है, बट सिर्फ बता रहा हूं. तो रौनक, नाउ कैन यू टेल मी दैट on whose pocket the impact was?
It's yours, sir.
Okay. In the same way, if you buy an asset and government allows you to write off the entire expense on the same, that was a capital in nature, from your profit. That means if you write off, मतलब profit पे सबसे पहले किसका what you can say right रहता है? Government का, because government will ask tax on profit. Then after you can share your profit with preference shareholders and then finally with equity shareholders, isn't it? ये process होता है, याद रखिएगा.
Yes,
profit,
sir.
the time we get profit, first of all we have to pay the share of the government to the government. Then whatever we left, we first pay the preference shareholders, and after that whatever left is to be given to the equity shareholders. In the same way, if now अगर government आपको कहता है कि okay, although I have rights, I have the most preferential right over this profit, but आप इस expense को माइनस कर लो. तो सिनेरियो क्या हो जाता है पता है? सपोज पहले मेरा प्रॉफिट 100 रुपीज था, अब गवर्नमेंट ने आपको एक आइटम माइनस करने के लिए दे दिया, दैट वाज 20 रुपीज. तो गवर्नमेंट का प्रॉफिट पे राइट्स डिक्रीज होकर कितना हो गया? 80. तो इसका मतलब द इम्पैक्ट of buying asset was on the pocket of the government. तो अगर impact government के ऊपर था तो definitely logic or even logically the owner of the asset is the government. तो अगर आप उस एसेट को सेल करोगे तो गवर्नमेंट डेफिनेटली आपसे कुछ मांगेगा. क्या मांग सकता है? सर ये जो अमाउंट उसने लास्ट टाइम छोड़ा था ना, वो डेफिनेटली ये अमाउंट मांगने की कोशिश करेगा. तो देखो गवर्नमेंट ने क्या लिखा. फर्स्ट, विदाउट हैविंग बीन यूज्ड फॉर अदर पर्पस. मतलब आपने एसेट खरीदा बट आपने किसी और काम में उसे इस्तेमाल नहीं किया, सिर्फ बिजनेस में यूज किया. तब हम क्या करेंगे? तब हम सेल वैल्यू जितने में हम उसे बेच रहे उसमें से हम कॉस्ट जितने में हमने उसे खरीदा था इसे हम माइनस करेंगे और डिफरेंस को हम बिजनेस इनकम मानेंगे. क्या मानेंगे? बिजनेस इनकम. और सेल वैल्यू में से हम इंडेक्स्ड कॉस्ट ऑफ एक्विजिशन को माइनस करेंगे. इंडेक्स्ड कॉस्ट ऑफ एक्विजिशन क्या होता है? विल स्टडी दिस इन कैपिटल गेन्स. तो मैं कैपिटल गेन्स चैप्टर पढ़ाऊंगा तब हम पढ़ेंगे कि ये क्या होता है. जब सेल वैल्यू में से इंडेक्स्ड कॉस्ट ऑफ एक्विजिशन को माइनस करेंगे तो जो डिफरेंस होगा उसे हम मानेंगे कैपिटल गेन्स. दैट विल बी अंडर अदर हेड. Now the second case is that if sold after being used for other purposes, मतलब आपने बाकी चीजों में भी इस्तेमाल किया उसे, तब sale consideration shall be subtracted from the relevant block of asset. It is to be noted that the time of conversion of scientific assets into normal assets, the cost of acquisition shall be taken as null in relevant block. ये बात बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. ठीक है. क्या कहा इन्होंने? हमने कहा कि जब अगर एसेट्स को हमने यूज किया है किसी भी काम में, उसके बाद हम बेच रहे, तो बेचते समय हम क्या करेंगे? हम उसे सब्ट्रैक्ट करेंगे रिलेवेंट ब्लॉक से. बट याद रखिएगा, अगर आपने कोई एसेट खरीदा था विच यू हैव यूज्ड फॉर साइंटिफिक पर्पस, नाउ यू आर यूजिंग इट फॉर नॉर्मल पर्पस, देन उसका कॉस्ट ऑफ एक्विजिशन हमें क्या लेना होगा? ब्लॉक में उसका कॉस्ट ऑफ एक्विजिशन निल होगा. मतलब ब्लॉक में नंबर ऑफ एसेट्स बढ़ेंगे बट ब्लॉक की वैल्यू नहीं बढ़ेगी. क्यों नहीं बढ़ेगी? क्योंकि सर हमने पूरे के पूरे कॉस्ट को ऑलरेडी प्रीवियस ईयर में राइट ऑफ किया है पीएल से एज अ रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर. तो नाउ एज वी हैव ऑलरेडी रिटन इट ऑफ एज अ रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर, तो हम उसे क्या अब कॉस्ट मान सकते हैं. मान लो, समझने की कोशिश कीजिएगा, मैंने एक 100 रुपीज का आइटम खरीदा ना, वो 100 रुपीज मैंने आपसे ले लिया, तो क्या मेरे पॉकेट से मैंने इस आइटम के लिए कुछ भी खर्च किया है? नो. इफ मैंने अपने पॉकेट से एक पर्टिकुलर आइटम के लिए कुछ भी खर्च नहीं किया, दैट मीन्स कि मेरे लिए इस एसेट का कॉस्ट ऑफ एक्विजिशन निल है. जस्ट लाइक अ गिफ्ट. गिफ्ट का कोई कॉस्ट ऑफ एक्विजिशन नहीं होता. नाउ टू सी दिस, just have a look on this. The question says on 1st April 2019, Everrise Limited owns 3 plants: Plant A, Plant B, Plant D. Rate of depreciation being 15%. Depreciated value of the block on 1/4/2019 is 4,60,000. On 14/6/2009, Plant E, which was initially purchased for 51,000 for conducting research, is transferred from laboratory to the factory. No other asset is proposed or sold. You need to calculate that what is the closing value on this date. Okay. Now it's very easy. You can see how to solve it. See how to solve. Okay, now see. As per question, they have told you that what is the opening WDV of the block. Just a minute. Okay, opening WDV of the block was given as 4,60,000. Sure. Is there any addition? Yeah, there was an addition. It was transfer from lab, but its block value shall be taken as nil. Why? Because sir, if it was used as an asset in the laboratory and now has been transferred, the asset has been transferred to the factory as a normal asset, then its value shall be taken as nil. The reason is very clear, because at the time of the purchase of this type of asset, you must have claimed the entire cost as a deduction. Okay. Now, is there any sale from this? Sale proceeds, again nil. Okay. This is what we call as written down value before depreciation. This is 4,60,000. Now we'll write less depreciation at the rate 15%. Okay. What is 15% of 4,60,000?
69,000.
Yeah, we'll write 69,000 here. And after that, we'll have closing WDV after depreciation. Okay, the value is 3,91,000. So I think the कुछ दिखाने को था नहीं इस क्वेश्चन के अंदर. It was just to show ये वाला part, that why addition have been added, but the value has been taken as null. Okay, the reason was very clear, because the same asset was previously used in the laboratory also. Okay, come to this topic again. Okay, now government said the next part is expenditures on agriculture extension projects. Like to extend agriculture, different types of extension projects are taken up. How to define whether a project is agriculture extension project? It totally depends upon the approval that you have taken from the government. Now, if you have taken any project for agricultural extension, then a weighted deduction for the current year. That means if right now we'll be talking only about the assessment year 2021-22. So the weighted deduction is 100%. Don't remember that what was the percentage earlier, because we won't be considering this. Okay. From now, all percentage will be considered with reference to assessment year 21-22. So 100% is allowed. The next is Expenditures on skill development projects. You must have seen government started after 2015 a project in India known as what was the name of the project? It was skill development project under which government used to teach people's different type of manual works and other works so that they can earn their livelihood. Do you remember the name? Anyone? Anyone please help me?
Sir, NABARD.
No, it's not NABARD. NSD DSL क्या नाम था उसका मैं भूल जा रहा हूँ. National Skill Development Authority of India. That was the full name. ठीक है. That was the project which was started by Government of India after 2015, and it actually focuses on providing different type of skill to the peoples. Although the project was not so much popular and also not so much effective, but it somehow provided some skills in different because actually the reason was that now that the organization who are actually providing the skill development techniques, they are only working for the money that the government is giving to them. Government was paying the institutes money and they need to teach others. More the number of students they will teach, more the money they will get from the government. Okay, now just see, if you have incurred any expenditure on this skill development projects, then again for the assessment year 21-22, we will be getting a deduction of 100%. Previously it was 150%, but from this year the amount will be reduced to 100% only. Okay. The next is amortization of preliminary expenses. Now, first of all, you tell me what you mean by the term preliminary expense. Tell me.
Sir, not major expenses.
What?
Not major expenses.
Not major expenses.
Small expenses, petty expenses.
Petty expenses. Great. Anyone else? Anyone else from this class?
Expenses that incurred before the incorporation of business, like
Yeah.
in the stages.
Yeah, good. The preliminary expenses means the expenses that have been incurred before a business comes into existence. That means it can be termed as pre-incorporation expenses. Okay, what we can term it as? We can term it as pre-incorporation expenses. Like for example, you all know, you must have completed your corporate law, the company law part. In your semester 2, you must know that what is the process of forming of a business, to how to start a company in India. We all know that before we start a company, there are a huge uh, paperwork. Like we have to get our memorandums and articles printed. If not printed, then we have to follow the prescribed tables in Companies Act 2013, either table A, B, C, D, E for memorandum and table F, G, H, I, J, K for our articles. We can follow it. So we need to get it printed. We need directors. We need to apply for their DIN number. We have to issue them some shares. We need to issue our prospectus. ठीक है. Then we need to appoint someone for this arbitration and all. ठीक है. तो ये सारी process के अंदर we need to pay a huge amount of money. And even not only this, we need to pay the license fee to the government also for this incorporation process. Finally, the government, after completion of all the process, government gives you a certificate known as certificate of incorporation. From this point of time, a private company can start their working. Now, whatever expenses the business incurred before its formation, will they be deducted from PL? Because we know that PL will only be prepared for the period ending after the commencement of the business. तो बच्चा मतलब मान लो एक कंपनी ने अभी तक जन्म ही नहीं लिया और उसके जन्म के पहले जो एक्सपेंसेस हुए उन्हें आप कैसे पीएल में लिखोगे? अकाउंटेंसी में से ट्रीट करने का अलग प्रोसेस है, बट इन टैक्सेशन वी हैव सम अदर प्रोसेस ऑफ ट्रीटिंग इट इन पीएल, क्योंकि टैक्सेशन का पीएल अपने हिसाब से बनेगा. तो व्हाट दे सेड कि एमोटाइजेशन ऑफ प्रिलिमिनरी एक्सपेंसेस कौन कर सकता है? फर्स्ट, एन इंडियन कंपनी और अ रेसिडेंट कॉर्पोरेट एसएससी. याद रखिएगा हमने दो लोगों के बारे में बात की. तो फर्स्ट इज एन इंडियन कंपनी and the second is resident non-corporate SSE, just like suppose partnership, AOP, BOI, local authority or HUF, anyone. If incurs any preliminary expenses can be incurred before commencement of the business, or if after commencement of business, then it should be in connection with setting up of a new unit. Okay, remember that it can happen that I have opened a company, the head office was situated in Kolkata, then I took up the task of establishing another office at Bangalore, and I have to again incur some of the expenses for its formation. So that can also be termed as preliminary expenses. तो पहला तो ये कहा कि या तो फॉर्मेशन के पहले हमने खर्च किया हो, या अगर फॉर्मेशन हो गया है, कंपनी स्टार्ट हो गई है, तो नई यूनिट को स्टैब्लिश करने के लिए ये खर्च किया हो. ठीक, और it may be incurred for extension of the undertaking. Remember that in case of non-corporate SSE, an audit report by a chartered accountant should be submitted along with the return, in which all expenditures was first claimed. That means all the expenditure that you are claiming that it will be deductible or they are the preliminary expenses, उसको आपको इस रिपोर्ट में लिखना होता है. और ये चार्टेड अकाउंटेंट का रिपोर्ट होता है, इसका मतलब सीए ऑडिट करने के बाद ये आइटम्स लिखेगा. नो सर, ये तो सब चीजें हो गई प्रिलिमिनरी एक्सपेंसेस के बारे में. Can you just tell me that what can be the amount that we can write in PL as per income tax? So I said, okay, that amount shall be lower of amount of expenditure आपने कितना खर्च किया है, और eligible amount as per IT rules, whichever is lower. Now फिर से आके आप कंफ्यूज हो गए, सर ये क्या होता है eligible amount as per IT rules? This is different for different companies. Now in case of Indian company, as we are talking about Indian company, तो याद रखिएगा कंपनीज के पास कैपिटल होता है. क्या होता है? कैपिटल. Now you must also know this in your as per your company's law knowledge, that at the time of formation of a company, the charges or the amount of money that the company pays to the ROC, that is registrar of company, depends upon the capital that you have or the project that you will be taking up. So government charges of money or fee according to the capital that a company has. As per IT rule, a company shall not incur more than 5% of the amount. Now for this they said कि eligible amount Indian company के लिए कितना होना चाहिए? Indian company के लिए 5% होना चाहिए. 5% of cost of project और 5% of capital employed, whichever is higher. इनमें से जो बड़ा होगा उसे हम एलिजिबल अमाउंट मानेंगे. इसका मतलब दो बार चेक करना है. फर्स्ट टाइम यू हैव टू फाइंड एलिजिबल अमाउंट. किस तरह से? कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट और कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल को कंपेयर करके हायर लेंगे. हायर को लेके हम एलिजिबल अमाउंट में लिख देंगे, एंड कॉस्ट ऑफ एक्सपेंडिचर तो हमें ऑलरेडी पता है. ठीक है, देन इन दोनों को कंपेयर करेंगे एंड विल टेक द लोअर वन. नाउ सपोज अगर वो इंडियन कंपनी नहीं होती तो उसका कैपिटल एम्प्लॉयड नहीं होता, तो एलिजिबल अमाउंट जो है वो 5% ऑफ कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट होता. See, now just see an example of it. X Limited, a newly incorporated Indian company, which incurred a preliminary expenditure of 50,000. याद रखिएगा actual expenditure कितना है? 50,000. If the capital employed of the company is 8 lakh and the cost of the project is 7 lakh, find out the amount of deduction under section 35D. So it's very simple. सर दोनों का 5% कैलकुलेट करेंगे. इसका 5% कितना होता है? Just tell me. 40,000. इसका 5% कितना होता है? 35,000. तो हायर ऑफ द टू क्या है? मतलब कौन सा 5% ज्यादा है? 40,000. So now we'll be comparing what? We'll be writing कि eligible amount में we are getting 40,000. Higher of 5%. And as per the question, this amount of expenditure is given as 50K. Now what we shall do? We shall take the lower one. So the final answer is okay. For illustration number 8, the final answer is the solution will goes like this. Amount of expenditure 50,000. Eligible amount as per IT rules is 40,000. Now how to find this? आपने इसे कैसे find किया? For this, draw note 1 and write this. That we have taken 5% of this, 5% of this also. The higher was taken as an eligible amount. Completed. Now the last part from section 35 is amortization of expenses incurred for VRS, voluntary retirement scheme. Now we have seen already that if VRS is taken by an employee, then what to do? What to do with the income that is generating under the head salaries. Now today we'll see that what we need to do if a company gives VRS to their employees and the amount that they pays to the employees, what to do with that part. So Income Tax Act clearly says that 1/5, that is 20% of the expenditure paid, is allowed as deduction for 5 years commencing from the year in which the expenditure was paid. That means 20% every year you can get. 1/5 means 20%. So 20% of the amount is deductible for 5 consecutive years. For 5 consecutive years you can deduct it. 20%, 20%, 20% करके आप 5 years तक total amount को deduct करोगे. Okay. Now the next is some general deductions under section 36. We'll start with this in the next class. Today we have the next class in the second half. In that class, we'll be starting with all this. Okay. Guys, I will be uploading this PDF right now. Okay, you just get it downloaded or printed, because in the next class when we'll do this now, I will mark some of the points here. Okay, so you should mark it accordingly in your part so that we can complete this portions as soon as possible. Okay.
Okay, sir.